Muy buenas tardes, good afternoon everyone, and welcome to this last talk inside Madrid Design Pro, a selection of talks with international and national figures in the design world. We have been enjoying since last week amazing talks, and today both Cosentino together with Madrid Design Festival, we wanted to invite you to enjoy an amazing trip that is going to take us to London to meet and visit the studio of one of the most acclaimed light artists and designers in the world, Moritz Waldemeyer. My name is Rocío Arjona, and I will be pleased today to take you closer to Moritz's work, just to introduce him a little bit, because there is so much to tell about him. Moritz is that passionate artist able to create through his technological art wonderful experiences that mainly take the use of light. With a background in engineer and a very long list of collaborations with world top names in different industries, like, for example, Ron Arad, Philip Stark, or Zaha Hadid in architecture and design, Rihanna, U2, Jamiroquai that I mentioned before in music, Hussein Chalayan or Versace in fashion. There are so many collaborations that we would love to mention, and where he put his name in all kinds of scenarios, moving from design to fashion or to art, always with a perfect style. He's gonna bring us to the future using colorful lights, amazing scenarios, spaces, playing with our senses, having no limits for design. A long list of companies in many different disciplines have trust in him, like Microsoft, Disney, Audi, or even in the Olympic Games, in the closing ceremonies where we could see his works. He has an infinite appetite for invention and no limits for creation. And yes, we have to say it, light is his religion. Moritz, welcome to Madrid Design Festival, to Madrid Design Pro, this talk today, and thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's very exciting. Sadly, I can't be there in person. It's very strange times, so we have to make the best of it and enjoy the wonderful technology that we have.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. So just to start quickly, we would love to know, you live in London for many years, and I'm sure there is an impact and influence on you because of that. Moritz, well known worldwide for your experimental projects, how does an engineer become a light artist that now is famous worldwide?
Well, it's certainly not something that I had planned from the beginning. It's sort of happened step by step. In fact, when I left school, I really didn't know what I wanted to do at all. So I went to work for a bank, and I did a banking apprenticeship. And then I started studying business, and I got to talk to engineers and companies, and I thought that was very interesting. So I changed my subject to engineering. Then I started working slowly in the world of design, and so it's sort of like a gravitational pull that's pulled me in this direction. And well, here I am. What can I say? It's one little adventure at a time.
And just now I was mentioning a lot of famous names in the industry, worldwide known, that you've been working. You moved from art to luxury industry, from architecture to music to entertainment. We can see how Moritz moves very easily from one discipline to another. How do you manage to adapt yourself to so many different scenarios?
I think it's just a question of being curious and wanting to learn about how other people work. In fact, I started out doing collaborations. The early time of my studio was me enabling other designers' visions. And so, like, from the very beginning, this thing of collaboration and working and learning from others was very much part of the studio. And I try to maintain that because it enriches me. It makes my own life very entertaining. So I love the jumps from one place to another.
Okay, but I mentioned those names like Ron Arad or Rihanna. There must be a lot of pressure. You were young, and how do you manage that pressure to work with top names in the world in the industry when they contact you to do something with them?
Well, most of them are actually very passionate and curious themselves. That's why they are in that position. And so on the projects that we work together, like everyone had to bring something to the table. And so they're usually very quickly established sort of like a level of equality in the project, because I had a skill set to bring along that they were lacking. And the people that are on top of the game, they know where they are lacking the skills, and they know how to like deal with people that bring them along. So they are also collaborators in a way. And so there wasn't really that feeling of pressure in most occasions, especially working with people that are very, very top of their game.
I'm sure when there is passion behind, everything is much easier as well. Well, exactly. Today we promise all the followers that are watching us to take them to visit your studio, which is the main intention today. Yes. And I'm sure they are looking forward to that visit, personalized by you to take us around your studio. Yeah. They don't know that you are just moving to a new studio, so we are so lucky to see first time ever the new studio of Moritz Waldemeyer. So please, Moritz, show us around.
We have double camera here now, okay? So here you can see yourselves. Well, basically the situation is this, that we are in the process of moving, and this is very much a story of COVID. So let me quickly explain how this all came about. We used to have our studio in Shoreditch, you know, the sort of cool place in London where all the creatives hang out. Now, Shoreditch for pretty much a whole year now has been an absolute ghost town. And every time we go there, it's like we can't believe, you know, how quickly the area changed. Because we had to commute into town on the Central line, which is like the most cramped line in London, you know, and with the virus going around, this all stopped like really, really quickly. And so we looked for alternatives, and it took us a while. We used the first lockdown, the beautiful weather, to cycle around London, and we discovered this area which is called Chingford, which people don't necessarily have on their radar. Londoners, you know, you mentioned it, they're like, maybe they've heard about it, but it is, however, one of the most beautiful areas in the whole city. We have the Epping Forest nearby, and so before we knew it, we found a property very close to the forest with a lot more space than we ever had in London, and space in London is the real premium, okay? And so we bought this property and we did it up, and the house itself, and I'm sitting in the dining area right now, is pretty much done on the inside, not the outside, it's still building site. And out of the back, we are building our own studios, and we're about, so let me just, I don't know if we want to walk over there or if it's enough, you can see it just against the sunset. So yeah, 2 studio spaces back there, nearly completed. We need maybe another week before we can move in. So that's basically the situation. And so we create a little bit of a little showroom here for everybody, but we also have like a massive mess of stuff in storage, which I don't really want to show you, to be honest. So slowly over the next 2-3 weeks, everything is going to go into the studios back there, and hopefully we're going to have like a very good very short commute to work.
And I'm sure it was a bit dark and we couldn't see much, but you have those amazing views to the forest, and I'm sure it's going to be a place for inspiration for you and your team in the future. But right now, where do you get inspired? Where do you go to get inspiration?
Well, I get inspired pretty much everywhere. You know, it might be like a bike ride in the forest or a collaboration with a car company. You know, if you sort of develop a certain amount of curiosity, then you can find inspiration almost everywhere. So yeah, unfortunately we can't travel very much at the moment, which is a real shame. I'm very much looking forward to traveling again, going to interesting places. So for the moment, we have to content ourselves with being online, trying to talk to people, with friends on Zoom or any other video conferencing software. What have we got now? Any one of those. And also by playing with stuff, you know, we just have to go through all our things in the studio, and if you move, you find stuff that you haven't seen for years. Boxes come out with old projects, and they can be inspiring, or materials, and all of a sudden you think about them in a different way. So yeah, inspiration is everywhere.
And now that we are inside your studio, is there anything that you are working on at the moment that you could show us and share with the public that is watching this conversation with you?
Yes. So if we switch back to my handheld camera here, so one of the things that we're working on a lot is our line of flames and candles, and you can see a whole sort of selection here of different sizes. So this project all started out with a little prototype, something similar to this, like a small circuit board with LEDs on it, and it turns out that one can make really beautiful candlelight with just a few LEDs. So then the very first version you can see over here. This is the one that we made with Ingo Maurer, which is also still on their catalog. But then now we also, oh, hang on, there's my finger over the camera. Sorry about that. But we have a whole family of different things. We love to experiment with these. So we went for something with a higher resolution now, which is really beautiful. I don't know how well that comes out on this camera, but in the real world, these are really gorgeous. Here we have quite a few of these big ones. And we made lanterns as well. We have some stacked in the back here. So these still have to be installed there. They're going to go into the garden. But we made huge installations with those. We installed like 1,200 in Bista Village, which is a big shopping destination. Wow. You also have a sister village in Madrid, I think, and in Barcelona. And I've been to visit those. So we work with those guys at Value Retail. So yeah, this is something we're really concentrating on right now, since sort of commissions are a little bit slow at the moment. You know, people are very cautious about what they do with their money. Here's a fun one. This one I really like particularly. It's something we did for Barnaba Fornasetti. We nicked one of his designs and brought it to life. So there's a few bits and pieces that we're working on right now.
Well, they all look amazing, and it looks so much like a Moritz work. So now that you are showing us a few of your current works, we would love to know how Moritz works in a normal day. Which tools do you use? Yeah. Processes, the software even. Can you share with us on a little bit of details on that?
Sure. So I've created a bit of show and tell. So we have some slides to show, and they kind of talk a bit about various tools. And I'm starting out with this particular slide because it's the one tool that really is extremely important to us, and that also probably sets us apart from many other design studios. This is a software called KiCad, and it's a specific CAD program to design circuit boards. So most of our projects use custom circuit boards, custom circuits, custom software, just so that we can create these effects in light that you can't buy in a shop. Okay. So if we just go through, there's a couple of other images of the candles, and we can probably go through that relatively quickly, as I've already shown you the ones that we have here in the studio. So maybe one thing to mention is that this original candle is now part of the MoMA permanent collection, and not only, also the London Design Museum. It shows the history of artificial light, starting with the Edison light bulb and stopping with the candles. So it really got some incredible response also from like very important people in the design industry.
Wow.
So maybe the next 2 slides we can just go relatively quickly. This is an installation we did in Milan. So we make installations with these of various shapes, chandeliers, bespoke pieces. As I said, also in retail environments, we did some really massive installations. And we have our own line of products that you can buy in our web shop. So yeah, these are the 3 flames that you just saw here on the table. So if we go to the next one, is another very important tool is 3D printing. And we've become more and more involved in this. This printer that you see here is Formlabs, is based on resin. We also have another much bigger one of those. And then we also have the more conventional filament ones. And here we did a project for Formlabs to create a classic chandelier that can be printed in one piece within the build volume of that printer. And the build volume is a little bit limited. It's 16 by 16 centimeters. And so we managed to make, however, a half-meter chandelier. And you can see it's printed completely sort of compacted. And then you can move the pieces out and they telescope and sort of unfold into this chandelier. And the next picture shows you that also here we used our candle modules on that. So a little bit of a playful way to make something old with new technology. The next project also very much is based on 3D printing. This is a dress that we made for the Cirque du Soleil in Canada. They asked us to make a dress that can change color but not use LEDs. And so we came up with this idea of using flowers. And there's a few...
There is a bit of Spanish influence on that, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes, because also the show is actually a Mexican-themed show. So that is definitely Spanish culture, isn't it? So here you can see some of our prototyping, and we came up with a mechanism that you can print already assembled. And the idea was that if this show is a traveling show, if anything would ever break on this dress, then they can reprint the spare parts. And so they have 3D printers that travel with the show, and they can keep this dress alive. The next picture shows one of those mechanisms, like also an earlier prototype, and how that all works. And then let's have a look at the dress. This was the moment when we had it first working, and everybody came to see, and everybody had sort of was lost for words, speechless, because it was really quite a magical moment.
It is. It looks amazing. It looks like nature in a dress.
Absolutely. So we can animate across this almost like a video screen. Yeah, very, very nice. Now, let's go to the next project. This is, again, about a very important tool, which is parametric design. And it's something that I'm sure most people are familiar with, especially if you're coming from an architectural background. So using algorithms to draw for you. But once in a while, we managed to use these tools also in a bit of a surprising way. And this here is one of them. This was a collaboration with Wallpaper Magazine and Hyundai. And they asked us to make a light sculpture that to hang above this car. This is a prototype car, like a show car that was shown in Geneva for the motor show. And they wanted to do a photo shoot. So instead of like constructing a light sculpture, because there was very little time and not that much budget either, so we had to be very creative. So the only bit of hardware that we brought along to the photo shoot, now let me explain this image here. You can see like a little curved line in front of a car. This is basically an LED strip inside a transparent tube. And then you can see these boxes up in the ceiling. Those are motor winches, computer-controlled winches, yeah? And so we could move the LEDs over the car with these winches. And so the next picture shows some of the preparation that we used Grasshopper to design this, yeah? So this would be a movement path of the LED strip over the car. And now already you can see this starts becoming very interesting, like really beautiful shapes and forms. And then the next picture shows you the final result. So we would drive this LED strip over the car and do a long exposure. So like a 4-second exposure maybe would give you a result like this. And so this was then the sculpture that hangs over the car, even though there was never really a sculpture. It's sort of like semi-virtual, playing with photography and grasshopper really. And yeah, here's another image from that.
Just to check with you while we are seeing this, because it looks, you make us travel to the future through these works that you are showing just now. How do you manage to keep yourself updated to know the last technology to use to create all these amazing speechless works?
Well, it is a bit of like curiosity. When I came across this thing about parametric design a few years back, I had this friend and he told me, there's this new tool, you need to know about it, blah, blah, blah. And then I slowly kind of got involved, and I tried to go to conferences and I try to also meet the people that create these tools and the people that are like very much at the forefront. Those people are pretty much sort of my circle of friends. So I try to hang out with those people because we have a lot in common. The passion for these things and innovation, and also to be playful.
We would love to see your card. I'm sure there is something funny on it. Okay, let's go back to your presentation because there were many more works to share.
Yes, absolutely. Next one. So this is a pretty famous piece, and I have it here. So if you want to switch over to the other camera for a second, then you can see we have the JK hat here in the studio. This one here is supposed to be currently at an exhibition in Germany, but because COVID it shut down, and so they sent it back to us. It needed also a little bit of repair. It does need maintenance once in a while. So basically what happened a few years back when JK was working on his new album called Automaton, he came to us and said, like, can you please design a new hat for me? Because he famously used the crazy hat. And the picture in the presentation, if we go back to that, the first picture of the hat, you can see him holding his old hat. Hang on. No, can we go back one? Yes, that one. Yes, exactly. So here you can see him holding his old hat, which was made from metal, like very artisanal, crazy, beautiful piece. Incredibly uncomfortable. I tried it out. Very heavy. So he said, like, I would like to have a new hat, and I wanted to be inspired by the pangolin, which is the scaly anteater, which looks a little bit like a cute little Pokemon. Look it up if you haven't seen pangolins. They're very, very cute creatures. So we went off and designed a scaly hat, and we did use parametric tools. And in fact, we used the parametric tool as a basis of collaboration. So we didn't present a finished design, but we presented a concept where certain parameters could be changed, and we had JK change them, and he was very in tune and very precise of what he wanted, especially when it came to like certain angles of blades on the hat, etc. Maybe if we go to the next images, then we can see a bit sort of like some screenshots of the CAD model. So you can imagine, here there's actually a grasshopper design on the side. So some of those elements were like sliders, and we could like change the length of these blades and how many there were, and angles and shapes. So there were quite a few parameters to change. So if we go to the next one, then you can also see the animation that we worked on. So this is not just animated in light, but also in movement. There are quite a few servo motors built in, and we can address them a little bit like in the dress, in the flower dress. So
you take us to the future, really.
Yeah.
With all these designs, you take us to to the future. There is a question from, well, you are receiving a lot of regards from worldwide, from Spain, obviously, but even from Chile, from a lot of countries. And there is one person asking, Natalia Burgos, she's asking, how do you see the future impact that light will have in the world, considering the need to move forward sustainability? How do you see it?
We are already pretty much living in the new sustainable light because you can barely go and buy a light that isn't LED. So that's not the future, that is the present. I think we have already done in the recent years a massive jump in terms of power consumption. The other side of the equation would obviously be sustainable energy. So that is very important. The other side of the equation. So I reckon we're probably not going to see anything super dramatic when it comes to like power consumption, because LEDs are already that good and they are developing at a crazy pace. In fact, over the past 15 years at least, we've had something similar to the Moore's law in computation. We've had a similar thing with light output in LEDs, and so they're on a crazy trajectory in giving better light output for less energy and less cost. Okay, so that is still happening right now. So that's not a question of future. That is a question of right here, right now.
Totally true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if there were a few more images that you wanted to share with us. I think so.
Here, let's see. Maybe we're going to go down. How are we for time? Let's ask that.
We're fine. We're fine.
Yeah. So maybe we just go down to the project with Bentley, because this is a project where we really used everything we know in a single project. So if we go to yes, exactly that one. This is a project that we got involved in. It's a year and a half ago now, almost 2 years. Bentley had their 100-year anniversary, and they decided to celebrate it with a concept car. And you can see a design sketch here in this image. So this was like the vision of what we were to work on. And we got the really big responsibility of taking care of everything that lights up on this car. And not only, also the integration with the design itself and some of the aspects of like parametric surfaces. So if we go down to the next couple of images, you can see just some experimentation that we did during the sort of earlier phases of the project to try to understand how we can deal with the surface area of that front grille. There's a few sort of attempts in doing this directly in Grasshopper. So this kind of went back and forth. Maybe go to the next one as well. So this was a really massive learning curve for us, because in the automotive industry, design works very differently. It's a very analog almost process where they're going from clay models to the computer, back to clay models, and back and forth until they kind of hone down the perfect lines. And that process was something really interesting for us to learn. And then we brought along these crazy tools here from sort of the world of architecture that in automotive are still like very rare. And slowly you can see it on some concept cars. So then if we go further, here are some 3D prints that we use to predict behavior with light. So we needed to understand what kind of profiles to create on the front grille so that we would get perfect lines in light. So then next picture shows you like an initial, I think this part was actually 3D printed. So this is the structure of the grille that we had to insert lights in. Now, the biggest challenge was the 3D design of this piece because we had to create quite so many different PCB designs and circuit boards. The world of electronics doesn't want to know at all about curves. In electronic engineers, they just draw straight lines, okay? And the maximum they do will be a 45-degree angle. But to design many different boards, all different shapes like this. There's no tool in the world that will do that for you. So we had to combine Grasshopper and PCB design software, KiCad, the one that you saw at the very beginning. And we did our own scripting so that we would automatically generate boards. And the next image shows that. So the little rectangle is like just one piece of circuit board with 4 LEDs on the top. And then on the side, you can see the shapes that came from that grill design. And so we would automatically generate everything you see, all the tracks, all the connections, the placement of the chips, etc., just so that we could finish in time. Otherwise, it would have been the 105th year anniversary concept car, not the 100th. So next image shows then the output. These are the finished PCBs that we had made in Italy. We flew them back, and we got a seat for the box. We paid for a special seat because they were absolutely irreplaceable, so that we wouldn't let them out of our eyes. So they got strapped in next to us. And then you can see the final result, the light, and the next image actually shows one of the animations that we were running on that. So yeah, really crazy complex piece of engineering design, all rolled in one, collaboration with the different design teams. So yeah, we were embedded for 1 year in Bentley. We didn't really do anything else for a whole year to make this happen. There's a few more images also on the rear. It's very beautiful, the way that it integrates with the varnish of the surfaces. So some of the light actually comes through the paintwork, which I believe is a first in the automotive industry. It's never been done before. This was also all animated. Yeah, maybe if you go further down, there's a little video from the launch. So this is the finished product, and this thing was gorgeous. When you saw it in the real world, it's really striking. Very
make
low.
One product that is luxury already, you make it even more luxury.
Yes. So yeah, this is probably the most complex project we've ever been involved with, and there were other aspects. Maybe if you go further down, you can also see some of the challenges from the interior. We keep going down a little bit. There was a piece in the center. Maybe hang on a bit further. If we jump a little bit to the next one. Yes, these are some concept drawings for the part that is called the AI. So basically the embodiment of the car's AI. And here we had to work with glass blowing artists. So artisans from the district in the UK that work in lead crystal. And so we worked with them to create these pieces. If you keep going, you can see some more sort of prototypes and how this developed. The next picture shows the circuit board that we made for that. And this again was generated in Grasshopper. And then the next image shows you a very first animation when we still had it on our bench. So here, where we played with fire, we loved the fire, and it looked amazing in there. In the final car, there was no flames, but I just love that. There's another video, one further down, shows you again an animation of that. And then the next image shows you that piece in the car, like as it was built in. So yeah, pretty amazing piece of design. And the next image shows the car in Pebble Beach.
Wow.
Yes, so that was one of the most amazing experiences, I have to say, in my whole career, to then see this in Pebble Beach that I had never been before. You know, the car show there is really extraordinary, the kind of things that you can see there. But then to bring along like one of the best looking cars in the whole show, then yeah, that makes it even more special. So yeah, this is
a lot.
Tales from the studio.
Well, I'm sure, like I am at the moment, all the followers that are watching us now, they are speechless because we have seen from you, explained by you, all those works. Amazing. We can see all the challenges that you have when you move from entertainment to the car industry. It must be so difficult to change and move to new ideas. And I'm sure you have a lot of fun while you are also working on them. But you have so many works. You've been working for more than 20 years. We can see when you talk your appetite for invention, for new ideas. What can we expect from Moritz now? Is there anything that you are going to surprise us with?
Well, there's a few things. We're obviously still working with our product line. So this is something that's evolving over time. I'm interested in doing work like with circuit boards themselves, because I think there's still a lot of things in there that one can do to turn them almost into artworks. So I've actually got a little Instagram domain, which is Arduino, because everybody knows Arduino, right? They are the little mini computers that you can program. And so I thought, well, how about turning that into an art form? So that's something that's sort of a bit stuck in my mind. And I haven't really sat down to do any yet, but I have a whole list of artistic circuit boards that I would like to do. So that could be little pieces of art that are like limited edition, run just PCBs. So it will be just the bare, well, not the bare circuit board, obviously with components and programmation, but making little pieces of art that people then can buy, like a little sort of geeky gallery. That's something that I'm working on at the moment.
Good luck with it as well. You share your inspiration, your creativity through all the works that you were talking about before. But is it for you? Is there any type of work that you have more fun with when you are preparing it? From the car industry to music, what is your? If you have to choose one industry, which one would you choose?
We had a very good experience with the car industry, and it was a first, and it was very special to work on the Bentley, because normally you don't get to lay hands on the car design itself. The companies are very protective, and you need to be a car designer, which is a completely different career, and you can't just like nip in and out normally. So that is something that I'd love to do more of. So if I can choose like a line of projects for the future, then maybe I would choose that. But what I love so much about our studio is that we can jump from one to the other, and sort of the variety is really the spice of life, isn't it? And that is certainly true for the projects. So I love that variety.
Moritz, you have such a long list of works with top brands, such an experience. When you are moving to a new studio, when a new company is approaching you, what do you think that they are going to expect from you to give them?
Well, people come to us because they're looking for something a little bit out of the ordinary, sort of a little bit of a surprise or just a tiny bit of magic. So that's really what we're trying to do. Yeah, hopefully there will be many more of those in the future.
Yes, two more questions just to finish with you, because we are running out of time. But I'm sure even today, some of the people that are watching you, they will love to work with Moritz Waldemeyer. When there is a new professional approaching you to join your team, what do you look for? What kind of profile is part of Moritz Waldemeyer studio?
Yes, well, I've shown you the tools that we use. So anybody who is proficient in any or various of those tools would be welcome to come along. Yes, this is our tool set, from the 3D parametrics of like rendering, things like that, to electronic design and programmation. Yeah, I think those are the main skills that we're looking for.
there is so much work behind what we see, right? And just to finish with, I think this is a must question, because the design community in Madrid, in Spain, is watching you now, and it's gonna watch you in the next days. And I'm sure they will love to know what kind of advices will you give them, especially to these new people that is joining the industry of design. Moritz Waldemeyer, what would they would advise to them to join the community of design?
Well, first of all, I want to say hello, because we have friends in the design museum and in design in the design world in Spain. So especially the guys at Mayai's studio, and they were also half responsible for having me here talk to you guys. So
really,
for that. I don't really know. It's difficult to give advice to people. Because the beauty of the design world is this, that many different approaches are valid, okay? So obviously I found an approach which is rather unusual. There are others out there, obviously, with a similar skill set, but I think we're in the minority, so we've created a bit of a niche. I think the most important thing is to sort of believe in yourself and follow your passion. And if you do that, then people will recognize that and you will get positive response. But I wouldn't dare to say do this, do that, because there are obviously so many different approaches that are possible and that bring success and satisfaction.
True. Mm. Well, with you, we are closing the Madrid Design Pro talks. You are the last guest to be inspiring the community. We have only words to say thank you, Moritz, because it's been wonderful. You made us travel to London, travel to your studio, travel to your mind, and see what is coming next. I don't know if you would like to share just a few words with the community that is seeing you, the design in general, from London to Madrid. And just to finalize, because it's been wonderful, we really enjoy it. It has been really nice for you to share with us so many images, and just to share the last words for this Madrid Design Pro.
Well, thank you so much for having me. We're very passionate about collaboration and coming together. So anybody out there who is interested in having an exchange, please do get in touch. We love traveling. We love visiting Spain also, especially. I've been quite a few times. Absolutely love it. There are amazing things going on. And yes, I love to keep our contacts alive. So yeah, please get in touch and let me know what you're doing in Spain.
Thank you so much, for sure. Whenever things are possible, we will invite you to visit Madrid, Spain, whichever city, because we are full of design everywhere, and I'm sure we can also surprise you. But it's been, again, wonderful having you today. You've been amazing. You are amazing with your projects. Good luck with all of them. And we look forward to see the new projects coming from Moritz. Mm-hmm. Thank you, everyone, for attending today to Madrid Design Festival, of course, to Cosentino organizing as well. And we will see you soon. Thank you so much to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Moritz.